Good morning, everybody. I'm going to make a little video today, and we're going to talk about how to take a plain pine common board like this. This is a 1x6, but we're going to be using 1x8. And we're going to turn this into a nice, beautiful, lifetime baseboard. I mean, this thing is going to last forever. And so let's get right into it. Throw that to the side because we're in the shop and that's how we do. All right, so right here, I've got this regular 1x8, and I've already prepped some of these, but I want to show you some of the things. We want to paint this one, get it ready for paint. So we're going to go through the process and the tools of how you would router it and how you would prep this to be ready for paint. So if I can get the light just right here, you guys will be able to see there's a big hole right here on the side of this knot, and then around the notch you usually get some wood chipping, some tool marks, and we're going to straighten those out so that when we paint this, it's just a nice flush, clean, ready to go board. So we'll take care of all these. This is going to be one of your most cost-effective ways to create a board like this. These are common boards from Home Depot. They're relatively inexpensive. You can spend the money and get a lot higher quality board that's already been sanded and squared off and joined and whatever, straightened out. But you're still going to have to router the edge, and you're still going to need to put a light sand on it anyway, so you might as well just save the money because you're going to be doing the same amount of job steps to prep this. Now, if you wanted to do a stain quality board like this one here, you may want to go that route. I still think it's kind of a lot of extra money, especially if you're doing DIY and you're trying to save some money. Just take the time to prep the board. All right, so we're gonna start with, how did we put this 3/4 round over on here? I used a hand router, just a DeWalt hand router. This bad boy right here, and it's set up just like this. Let me come around the table here. So this is what's called a 3/4 round over, so they come in different sizes. It's got a 1/4 inch shank, so don't mistake that number as being your round over size. This one says, this is a half round over that we're using. So this half round over works perfectly on a 3/4 board. I've got one set up in here. And then when you're setting one of these up, if you can see this, we'll try to turn this a little bit. The edge of this is just sitting like maybe a 32nd of an inch below the table. So, and I've got this bearing here. This is going to round off the edge of my board. But if you have just this little tip on the edge of that bit sticking out, it's going to leave you a line and you're going to have to deal with it, and it's going to suck. So don't do it. Just make sure that that thing's about a 32nd of an inch below the table, and you'll be good to go. All right, so we'll get this board. I usually clamp this board down to the table, and then I'm going to run my router. What I'm worried about, what I'm focusing on, you can see this. This isn't easy, but so if you can see this, I've got this table that's on my little router. I want to make sure that that stays flat to that board. I don't want to be rocking side to side like this, and I want to keep constant pressure against that board till I can feel that I'm all the way cut into it. And then you're just going to move from left to right, left to right. Most routers you're going to find left to right. That's the way you're going. Actually, all routers, excuse me. And so that's how I would prep that. And I'm going to go all the way down the edge. I just clamp that to the table, get it done. That's a simple process. We'll set that to the side. Now, after we've gone through and we've routed the edge of all the boards that we're going to make, we clean up our mess, and then we move on to our next step, which is going to be filling all these knots. And so it's a pretty simple process. There's a couple different products you're going to use, or can use. This is Durham's. You can pick this up at Ace or Home Depot. This is a dry powder wood filler mix for interior use only. You mix it with a little bit of water. It says it stays put, won't shrink. If you use this outside, it will shrink and it will fall off. So it's an interior product. You mix it up. I think it's relatively inexpensive, like 15 bucks for this entire can. I can do about 200 or 300 boards with this. So, but it takes a little more patience and a little more talent, like mixing it up, getting used to it, putting it on and pushing it into these knots. So not recommended for the novice, but if you wanted to try it, you can. It's a super cool product. For the everyday DIY person or people like me that just don't want to spend all day long mixing that stuff up, we're going to use this inexpensive natural colored wood filler from Ace Hardware. It's like a paste similar to peanut butter, and it's really easy to put it on. I like to use about a 4-inch knife because it allows me to completely span the knots. Like if you use a 1-inch knife, you're going to be in there and you're going to leave a lot of unnecessary buildup. With this knife, you can usually fill an entire knot, go over it a couple different directions, and then flat scrape it off smooth. And then tomorrow you can come back and you can sand all that and make just a perfectly smooth board, so that when we paint it, there's no issues whatsoever. And I'll show you how easy to do this. You just need a small dollop like that. It doesn't have to be a ton. Put that on there. And I just smear it a few different directions across here, about a 45-degree angle. And then I'm going to come back through as straight as I can and scrape off any excess. I mean, that's almost ready to go. I probably wouldn't even have to sand this. I'm going to anyways. I want my paint to stick to my board. We're going to rough it up just a little bit. So that's done. Now I have one here. This is one that we prepped yesterday. You can probably see those spots on there where the knots have disappeared. And there's just a little bit of a planer mark on here. And some of this grain is just slightly raised, and we don't want to see the grain. So what I'm going to do, I've got a regular orbital sander here and a 180 grit sandpaper. And I'm not just going to sand where I've fixed the knots and the little dents and stuff in the wood. But I'm going to go over this. I'm going to lightly sand this. Takes maybe about a minute and a half per board. And I'm going to get rid of all these little grain ridges and everything and just make this a nice flush surface. So what you can see is that I'm not working this really hard. I'm letting the tool do the job. I'm not pressing on it. I'm just setting it there and I'm pretty much just guiding it around. And I'm feeling this wood, and I can tell you with just that little bit of sanding, this is almost perfectly smooth, and I can still feel how rough it is over here. It almost feels like I would get a sliver if I ran my hand down that. So it doesn't take a long time. The reason you put this much effort into a product like this, making a baseboard like this, one, it's a little more expensive than just using your over-the-counter MDF trim. Well, it's probably twice as expensive. And two, this is gonna last forever. Like, we're gonna put this in a house after it's painted that was probably had trim in most of the other rooms, that was put in 70 years ago. It's been painted more times than you can count when you start sanding on it. But it's just gonna last so long that you really need to take the time to make it look right, so that, because you're gonna live with it for a long time. It's a superior product, and it's elegant, right? So we want to take care of it. We want to prep it right so that when we're done, we don't have any of that, man, I wish I woulda, or I could have done a little more. Like, you don't want to fix it after it's installed and you want it to look good 20 years from now. So do the work. Just do the work. All right, that's my stump speech. I get a little passionate about this. So at this point, I've filled it, I've sanded it. This thing is ready to go. We can send this to the paint booth, get it painted up with a couple of coats of good Clarkson Kensington cabinet and trim paint. That's a lot more durable paint. I'll do another video about that. But I love Clarkson Kensington. It's such a great paint. It's really thick. It doesn't run. It's DIY friendly. So many good things about it. So that's prep for paint. Now, if I was going to do this stain quality like this one, and you can look at this board, Other than filling the knots, I've prepped this thing the same way. I've lightly sanded it. I picked a board that didn't have any bad knots or any kind of damage to the front because it is stain quality and you can't cover it up with paint. That way I don't have to do wood filler, but if you end up in a situation where you do want to do wood filler, best thing to do is to pick your stain color and then go down and they make wood filler in different colors, and go get a few different colors that you think might be right. You might even have to blend it a little bit and just play with it until you get one that doesn't stand out. Like, you don't want to have this blaring, like blonde colored spot in a nice stained board like this. So that's about all I got on this. That's if you want us to do something like this for you, understand that it is going to be more expensive because it takes a lot more work to make it right. Okay. Thanks for watching. See if I can get my remote to work here.